The Sheriff Department as well as possibly the FBI will provide you with some updated information from their respective agencies. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Robert Sumwalt, and I'm the chairman of the National Transportation Safety Board. Joining me up here today, we have the Special Agent in charge of the Houston Field Office of the FBI. We have Sheriff Brian Hawthorne, and we have Ed Michelle, Assistant Special Agent in charge with the FBI here in Houston Field Office. Bill English, who is the investigator in charge for this accident. These gentlemen here are here to provide moral support. The NTSB's GO team arrived late last evening from Washington to begin our investigation into Atlas Air Flight 3591, a Boeing 767-300 freighter, which was en route from Miami International Airport to Houston's George Bush Intercontinental Airport. As I mentioned, the investigative team is being headed up by Bill English. Bill is the investigator in charge. Early this morning, the NTSB held our organizational meeting where we established the investigative protocols and designated parties to our investigation. The NTSB's investigation is a multidisciplinary effort consisting of experts with recorders, aircraft systems, structures, aircraft structures, operations and human performance, maintenance records, air traffic control, weather, and power plants, aircraft engines. Atlas Air Flight 3591 departed Miami at 11:30 yesterday morning, Eastern Time. It was approaching Houston's Intercontinental Airport on the standard arrival routes from the southeast. At 12:30 local time, the pilots contacted Houston Approach Control as they were descending through approximately 18,000 feet and about 73 nautical miles southeast of the airport. Shortly thereafter, air traffic control advised the pilots that there was light to heavy rain ahead and provided radar vectors around the weather. At 12:36 local time, the aircraft was cleared to descend to 3,000 feet. And at 12:39, while the aircraft was approximately 6,000 feet at a speed of 240 knots, communications was lost with the aircraft, as was radar contact. Now we've located video, security video, of the actual crash. This is video from the Chambers County Jail, which is approximately 1.4 miles from the impact area. The aircraft is in the video as it's descending. It's descending at in a steep descent, steep nose down attitude, and it is in the video for approximately 5 seconds. We will of course send this video to the NTSB's laboratories in Washington, D.C. for a very detailed analysis. There was no distress call. We have conducted aerial surveys in helicopters today, as well as up-close examinations of the debris field via airboats. The main wreckage is oriented in a northwesterly direction. 100 yards wide. The remains of both wings have been located within the debris field. Pieces of the landing gear components are located further to the northwest of the main debris path. Now, obviously, recovering the black boxes, the flight data recorder, the cockpit voice recorder, obviously recovering those is critical to this investigation. It is a painstaking process, but it is a high priority for the NTSB. Regarding other pieces of wreckage, as they are found, as they are recovered, they will be loaded where they will be cleaned at the dock and transported to a local hangar for a detailed examination. The aircraft had no declared hazmat, hazardous materials, on board. We're gathering the weather information. We're gathering the crew employment and training records. The FBI, as you will hear momentarily from the FBI, they are collecting witness statements, and they are also supplying their evidence response team to help document the debris field. As I mentioned, we've designated parties to the investigation, and the parties are, the NTSB typically designates those organizations that can provide technical expertise. We designate those organizations to be parties to our investigation, and those parties are the FAA, Atlas Air, Boeing, National Air Traffic Controllers Association, the International Brotherhood, the pilots, which is the union representing the Atlas Air pilots, and GE, which is the manufacturer of the engines. Our purpose for being here, our entire purpose for being here, is to find out what happened so that we don't have to go through this again. We want to prevent tragedies like this from occurring in the future. We're not here while on scene to determine the probable cause. We're not here to speculate. We're just here to do what I call collecting the perishable evidence. That's the information that can go away with the passage of time. And that's really what we're here to do for the next several days, is collect perishable evidence. The analysis phase will begin down the road. For the latest information, we want to provide you with updates as we can. For the latest information, follow us at Twitter. Our handle is @NTSB_newsroom, or you can follow us at ntsb.gov. I certainly want to thank the first responders. They have really been a huge help. Sheriff Hawthorne and his team, as well as all of the other local, state, and federal assets and resources, including the Federal Bureau of Investigation. In just a moment, I'll be glad to take questions. Before I do that, when I do call for questions, if you would kindly raise your hand when I call on you, tell me who you are, and state your affiliation. So we'll begin with the questions right now. Right here. Hi.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Sheets. I'm a reporter at the Houston Chronicle, and I was wondering if you know how much fuel was spilled?
Do I know, the question is, do I know how much fuel was spilled? The answer is no, we do not know. We do not have an approximate range at this point. However, I think it's safe to say that the fuel tanks would have been breached, and I would expect that everything that was in the fuel tanks would have been spilled into the water, and we will be able to determine how much fuel was on board at the time of the crash. There's a question right here.
David Curley from ABC News. A couple of questions. First, the video. You've seen the 5 seconds. You mentioned that it was in a nosedive. As a former pilot yourself, how can an aircraft get into that attitude that quickly?
Well, the question is, how can an aircraft get into a very steep nose-down attitude that quickly? And that is exactly what we are here to find out. We are here to find out why that aircraft descended rapidly into the ground.
6,000 feet isn't a lot of time to fix something. If the aircraft starts to nose down, how much time did those pilots actually have?
So how much time did the pilots actually have? And we think that by a detailed analysis of the radar data, which we have not yet completed, as well as the black boxes that we are hopeful to get, we should be able to find that answer.
I'm going to take another one.
Sorry, David.
Sir, I'm Gloria Romer with the Seabury Beacon in Winnie in Chambers County. I spoke to an eyewitness yesterday, and she said that she saw the belly of the plane go down really fast, and she said, in her exact quote is, it was as if he was trying to turn.
So regarding witness statements, we always find that that they're varying witness statements, and we will try to corroborate or confirm each and every one of them. By looking at the video, I saw no evidence of the aircraft trying to turn or pull up at the last moments. Is there any other questions? There's a question right here.
My name is Matt Hollis with the Baytown Sun. Are you able to identify the crew members at this point?
Are we able to identify the victims on board? And the answer to that is the NTSB does not do that. We do not identify fatally injured or surviving crew members. We do not do that. That is a function of the medical examiner. And I believe the sheriff will be able to provide more information regarding that. Chris.
You have a situation where the wreckage is at best in marshy conditions. That means the pingers may not work on the black boxes. How are you going to find them? Yeah, the question is, how are we going to find the black boxes if the pingers don't work? And it is true that the pingers, you know, the black boxes have pingers that will last up to 30 or 90 days, depending on the model. If an aircraft is underwater, and the situation that we may be facing here is that those pingers may be embedded so much into mud that their effectiveness may be reduced. So it will be, as I mentioned before, it will be a painstaking process. We will have to use a combination of divers, literally scuba divers, or literally putting on waders and going out and walking through the debris field and feeling for them. Also, another method would be to dredge for the recorders. So the pingers, we're hoping they will be useful. If not, the physical act of either walking and reaching or scuba diving, or finally dredging.
There are normally some clues in one of these incidents. This seems to be an extraordinary mystery.
So David is saying this seems to be very much of a mystery, and it is a mystery, and the NTSB has 52 years of solving mysteries such as this, and I'm confident that we will be able to get to the bottom of this. Let's see if there's questions right here.
What's your timeline for staying out here? How long do you think you're going to be out here? I'm dealing with KPRC.
Yeah. So how long will we be here? We will be here as long as it takes to get the perishable evidence. That could take days, weeks, or even longer. We have to get those recorders. We will be here as long as it takes to get that. Beyond that, the analysis, the further gathering of factual information, the analysis, that's a very detailed process. And so I would think that this investigation will be complicated. It will be aided if we can find the recorders, greatly aided. But generally, our investigations like this range anywhere between about 12 months to 18 months, somewhere in that neighborhood. But we'll take one more question, and that question is right here.
I know you said the video is now being analyzed. Is there a chance that we get to see the video? Is it going to be released a different way?
Yeah, the question is, will that video be released to the public? And the answer to that is yes, but it will not be released immediately. It will be placed in our public docket, along with other factual information regarding the crash. And so at some point, but not in the next few weeks or few months, it will be public, but only when the public docket is open. So with that, I'm going to thank you. I'm going to turn it over to the sheriff and to the FBI, and they can talk about some of the areas that are not directly in the NTSB's lane. Thank you very much. Gentlemen, thank you. Thank you for all of your help.
All right, I'll try and answer a few more questions. I'm Brian Hawthorne. I'm the Chambers County Sheriff. One of the questions I think was about survivors or remains. So I will tell you, Matt, that we have recovered 2 bodies. We do not have positive identification from the medical examiner's office, so we will not be releasing any names or anything till we have positive identification from the medical examiner's office. The medical examiner's office is in Beaumont, and they have not released that information to us yet. I expect it to be soon, but we do not have it. Gloria.
Is Antwerp Airport going to provide the hangar where the debris will be taken?
That is correct. For now, Chambers County is offering all the resources they can to the FBI and the NTSB.
And Sheriff, will you put out the information identifying the victims, or will that come from the medical examiner?
You know, normally the medical examiner will release the information to us with a preliminary autopsy. So from that point there, we'll probably turn it over to the FBI, and we'll probably do a joint release on who the victims are.
And Sheriff, for those 2 bodies found, are you still looking for another body? Or?
Absolutely. Yeah, we are still in active recovery mode. As I told you all yesterday, it's very difficult for me to believe that you could have any survivors. So at this point, it is clearly recovery, but it is very important to us that we do recover it. So, any other questions?
Can you tell us much about the conditions of the debris field today?
Well, they got more difficult in certain aspects because the north wind has blown the water out of the bay. So where you could get up there in some smaller, shallow water boats, the only way you can get up in there now is clearly with airboats. So it's going to be a very tasking, daunting. There's going to be a lot of work, and obviously once this wind slows down, the water's going to come back, and then we have other challenges. So this is definitely not an easy task. All right, sir. And we did. So it is helpful right now, all right. But it still has its own challenges when the tide's out. So we can't get barges up in there and other issues. So, all right. Thank you all. Perry.
Good afternoon. My name is Perry Turner, Special Agent in charge of the Houston FBI Field Office. And very briefly, as Chairman Sewalt mentioned, we are here to support NTSB and also a local law enforcement partner, Chambers County Sheriff's Office, in providing investigative resources to conduct searches, collect evidence, and also conduct interviews. We also have established a call-in line for persons who may have photos, debris in the yards, or even videos of this event. That call line is 1-800-CALL FBI. Once again, that's 1-800 call FBI. We want to thank the media for their assistance in this matter as well. Any questions?
Any reason to believe this is anything other than a plane crash?
As of right now, and as we can continue to gather and collect evidence, that's what we have determined right now.
Is that part of your assisting with the NTSB doing the background on the crew?
Yes, sir. We provide investigative support to NTSB, and we've been doing this for years. We have a memorandum of understanding with NTSB, and this is part of our standard operation procedures.
I know you mentioned there is a call line for people who have pictures or videos to send you. Since this happened, has anybody sent you anything?
Yes, I think we've had a number of persons who've called in and provided information as well as photos and also videos, as well as some of the debris from the airplane. Yes.
Since the fuel was spilled in the bay and other items, do you guys have any words of precaution for people using the bay?
So the U.S. Coast Guard has been on the scene, and also the General Land Office, Texas General Land Office is here. So they have been monitoring and looking at it. And I will tell you, as one of the first responders that was actually at the scene shortly after the crash, I will tell you that very little fuel. I couldn't even find a sheen. The only reason we could actually find the crash site was the floating debris. It was not from fuel. So there is a small fuel smell if you're out in the area, but I would not be afraid to eat the fish if I was catching them. So.
2 more questions, please. Thank you very much for your time.
One last thing I'm going to say is we've had a number of photos, pictures, videos that have come in our way. If it's photos, pictures, and videos, we would ask that they send it to the FBI. If they have debris or something that is washed up near their home or they find it, we would like either a call to the FBI or a call to the Chambers County Sheriff's Office, because we do need to collect that debris. All right, thank you.
Are you guys going to be providing any updates for the rest of the evening, or that's it?
This will be it for today. There will be another one tomorrow at 4. All right?